welcome to Handmade Happy Hour. My name is Kathy Fillion and 4th of July is right around the corner. So today I'm going to share with you a compilation video with some of my favorite crafts that I've done over the years. And in the comments, let me know which one is your favorite. All right, let's get started with these cute ideas. First up is some 4th of July party lights using napkins and upcycled jars. I'm going to start with a cleaned out jar. I'm using dishwasher safe Mod Podge for this, and that is a little bit messy and it's very strong, so make sure you protect your work surface. I'm using a little bit of tape here just on that corner to peel back the plies of my napkin. I'm only working with the top printed ply of the napkin. Then just go ahead and wrap it around your jar to get a size. You need a tiny bit to overlap and just trim it down to fit. Now again, this is the dishwasher safe Mod Podge. You'll be able to wipe these clean. Go ahead and apply a thin coat over the entire jar. So I'm adding it to the top area also and just all around the jar. You don't need too much here, just a nice thin layer. Once it's completely coated, you can just add your napkin right on top. And when I do that, I usually like to just start with the center and give it a tap down, and then you just roll and wrap it around. And I'm pressing with my fingers and then just sealing that up with a little bit more of the dishwasher safe. I'm gonna go ahead and trim off the bottom, and I'll use the same Mod Podge to seal down or glue that to the bottom. You could finish this off with a little felt circle or something like that. And then top coat the whole thing with the same Mod Podge dishwasher safe formula. Once it's all dry, you can trim away the top, and then I usually go in and add a tiny bit more of the Mod Podge just to seal down those loose fray edges at the very top. Now to finish them off, you can decorate these so many different ways. I'm using a series of lace and fun ribbon and pom-pom trim. And then for the top, I'm just using some thick jute rope that I found at the dollar store. And I'm just hot gluing that around the top. Super easy. Again, you can do this any style that you want. Now, once it's all finished and ready to go, I'm using some battery operated lights. You could put candles or battery tea lights down in here too. And look at how cute that glow is. I love it, like stained glass. Next, I'm going to use Sparkle Mod Podge and some Dollar Tree solar lights to create some really cute table toppers.
First thing we're going to do is choose your Mod Podge. We are using the Sparkle today, and show that one right over there, Kathy, the blue one. You can see how sparkly that is with the blue food coloring. And it's as simple as taking a cup. We have a little plastic cup here, and we're just going to pour some Mod Podge directly into this cup here. And this is a total eyeball situation where we just want to be able to fill this jar right here by moving it around. So that looks about right. And remember, if you don't have enough in there, you can always add to it. It's not a problem. Then you're going to use your food coloring. Now there's a bunch of different color food coloring, so we're going to be doing blue today. So there's 2 different color blues, so I'm going to choose this one here. And depending on how many drops you put in is going to depend on the color. So let's start off with just maybe 2 drops. I like my colors a little bit stronger, so I'm just gonna start off with 2 drops, and then you're just gonna stir that around. Now, of course, when the Mod Podge and the food coloring dries, it dries a little bit different. So you can see that this color here, this nice bright blue, I think I'm gonna add 1 more color.
Yeah, the colors are a little funny because that's called navy,
yeah,
but it looks very turquoise. And one thing to note is they do dry a little bit differently. So some colors will dry a little lighter,
right,
some will dry a little darker. So you do have to kind of experiment.
So depending on how many you're going to be making, if you want them all consistent, just remember how many drops you put in. So there's 3. That looks like a really pretty color.
Beautiful.
Pretty. Just make sure it's completely mixed up. And I'm gonna put this in here, and then we're just going to drop it directly into our glass jars. Now we got this jar at the dollar store. Of course, if you have leftover jars from your fridge, you can use those. These are great because they were only $1, and the solars were only $1. This is a very inexpensive project. I think it cost us what, Kat, about $2 each?
Yeah, I mean, I had the rope and stuff on hand, and
Yeah.
I already had the food coloring, so it's very, I think they're, you know, if you factor in your Mod Podge and all that,
Yeah.
it's about a $2.50 craft.
So then you're going to just make sure you get that little lid up there. So I'm going to be working a little bit backwards, but I want to make sure, I like to just do it this way a little bit, and we're going to be dropping this down. Just make sure you start it off there. You can see the whole thing's covered. Once you get it all covered, I'm going to tip this over like this, and you're gonna wait about a half hour. Now all that Mod Podge and food coloring is coating the entire glass. We're gonna wait about a half hour, let that all drop down, and after a half hour, you would flip it back over and let that dry for 24 hours. Very important, let it dry for 24 hours. You want it completely dry, and this color is now gonna turn into this color.
And look at all those sparkles in there. And again, like we said, if you didn't want to use a sparkly one, you didn't want the sparkle, you would just go ahead and do that same process using the gloss Mod Podge. It's so simple. And again, I want to put that picture up because it's so pretty at nighttime, the way it looks like rays are coming off of it. So let's talk about how we finish these off. We just did on some of them, I did this kind of nautical rope design here, and I did glue this on before I added my topper there. And then I had some of this cool wired 4th of July kind of trim, so I used that around some of them. So you can really use up any ribbons or bits and bubbles that you have to add to the outside of them. So for the solar lights, most of these, so this was from Dollar Tree, most of these just kind of spin one direction and they pop off very easily. So I do recommend taking a look at, you can see it's activated already. So I do recommend taking a look at the different varieties that are out there. We went to several dollar stores and they all had basically the same thing, but each one was a little bit different. So first what we did was we found our solar light, then we choose our jar based on that. So you want, these ones just fit perfectly in, just like so. I mean, that's so simple. Here's another Dollar Tree idea. I'm using vases and solar lights to create some table lights. Okay, our first project is going to be some 4th of July solar lanterns using some supplies from the dollar store. So what we're going to use is just these stake lights like this. These are solar lights. These are from the dollar store. And I picked up these clear vases like this from the dollar store. Now, one thing that's going to be important is you want to make sure that your solar lights fit into whatever you are using. So you can recycle bottles, you can pick up some glass vases like this, just make sure they slide right down on in. And these do come apart, so you can take them apart like this, and you could just do a topper if you wanted to, but I like that sort of little faux crystal look on the top there, so I said let's keep that, and we will just drop them in. So basically we're gonna make a napkin decoupaged holder that will hold our tea lights, not our tea lights, our solar lights. And these are really cool for putting on tables at nighttime. They charge up in the day, so if you're having a party or you just want some nice lighting for your outdoor area, these will just turn on as soon as it gets dark. So we're only gonna work with the top printed ply of the napkin. I found some patriotic firework napkins. And a tip is to go ahead and put a little piece of tape on that corner. We're gonna separate those plies. You don't want to use the white part or else it's gonna get really, really wrinkled. So we'll just go ahead and separate that. Again, we're just using that top printed ply. And right now there is tons of these fun napkins out at the stores. They're just all over. Okay, so I've got my top printed ply and this is my vase that I wanna cover. So we're gonna just trim up our napkin a bit because, let's see, we can go this direction, yep. All right, so we just want enough to wrap around and a little bit to seam it. So you'll just go ahead and trim it up. So from this one napkin, it looks like we can get 2 of our lamp holders. So that's pretty great value. One napkin, 2 different ones. So that's ready to go. Now we're gonna use satin Mod Podge. You can use gloss or matte, it doesn't matter. You could use the outdoor formula for top coating if you wanted to. You could top coat with the dishwasher safe if you wanted to, if you felt like these were gonna be out in the elements more. Okay, we'll go ahead and just coat the whole bottle. And I'm not using a real thick coat, but you do wanna make sure you coat the whole thing. Sorry, I called it a bottle. This is a vase. But you can use a bottle, you can use a recycled bottle, you can find bottles at the craft store in the glass section, decorative ones. You just wanna go ahead and get your solar light first and then find your vase. That's what I find to be the easiest. Go ahead and get that top coated. And kids can do this. This is a great project that you can do leading up to the 4th of July. If you've got people coming over for your backyard, you might want to even make a dozen of these. Very easy. Okay, we've got it all coated. Now I'm gonna add just a little bit to that top rim, just like so. Just a light coating. Now this is just some water in a spray bottle, and I think that this helps with wrinkles in the napkin, just to dampen it. You don't want to get it saturated, you're just going to dampen it. And you want to make sure that you're doing this for this napkin. We're going to be placing it on this direction. So you want to make sure that you spray it with the napkin on the side up that you want to pick it up, because once you spray it, you can't tell the front from the back. But when it dries, you'll be able to tell. So just give that a mist, just like so. And then this part gets a little bit messy. Sometimes you're thinking, oh, I wish I had another hand. Let's just go ahead and place that right on down. You have a little time to pick it up, kind of move it into position. And just gently, just very gently tapping, trying not to get wrinkles, trying not to get tears. If you did get a tear or a wrinkle, you can patch it with a little piece. Wrinkles you can just smooth out with your fingers. If you get too many, you can at this point, and even when it's dry, you could soak the napkin off and start over. You really aren't out much since it's just a napkin. And you'll spin that around. And again, I'm just holding it gently. We can trim a little bit more off. This is not a perfect up and down shape. It has a bit of a curve to it. So you have to kind of piece it a little bit. Go ahead and smooth out those wrinkles. You are gonna have some wrinkles where it gets narrower. They're very hard to avoid. So you just wanna press it and it will become part of the design. Okay, now we are at the point, let's trim a little bit more off of the neck area here because it's so much more narrow there. Now we can add a little bit more of our Mod Podge right down that seam spot, and let's start to fold that over. I'm barely applying pressure with the brush, barely touching. And that's kind of the key. If you push too hard, that's when you get the tears. So you just want to kind of tap, lightly do it, and push down. Okay, now for our bottom, what you would do is at the very end, we will go ahead and Mod Podge all that to the bottom. For right now, I want to show you our top. Oh, I Mod Podged my hand in there. There we go. So for our top, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of Mod Podge in there, and we'll just start to gently fold our napkin over that edge. Very simple. And you can see this napkin's already wanting to deteriorate. There we go. And just let that brush do the work, gluing it down. And now you're gonna set it aside and let it dry. And once it's dry, you'll flip it over and Mod Podge the bottom of the napkin to the bottom of the vase. And when it's completely dry, you'll just go ahead and pop in one of your solar lanterns like this, and it creates this really cool glowing effect. Now these normally you would stick into the ground, so these are really great for tabletops, side tables, or if you have a snack table that you're setting up, anything like that. Really great under $2.50 solar 4th of July lighting idea. Okay, so you can finish these off in a lot of different ways. On this one, I added a silk flower and some ribbons. It's the sky's the limit, however you want to do it. This is a great project for under $2.50. You got some great lighting. Last up is some napkin decoupage mason jars. I love these so much. I'm using some cleaned out jars, paper napkins, and Mod Podge multi. You're gonna roll your multi bottle around, and then we're going to separate the plies of the napkin. I'm just using a little piece of tape as a handle to separate the plies. I'm only using the top printed ply. I did trim it down to size a little bit. Now the multi-surface will just go directly onto the clean jar. I like this one for napkins. It's a very thin coat. Now I'm dry brushing on top of this. So you'll place your napkin down, and then this is a dry brush. And I'm just using that to burnish and attach the napkin down. You can add a little bit more Mod Podge where you need. So I'm adding some there, and then I'm gonna use that dry brush again to continue to wrap the napkin around the jar. Now napkins that have a light background like this work best for when you want a bright lantern. If you want something deep and moody, you could certainly use darker blues or purples, and that looks really cool too. So you can see I'm just adding more of the Mod Podge and wrapping that around, and then I'll add more Mod Podge to seal that edge up. You can add Mod Podge to the bottom and then wrap that around, and you'll just add more Mod Podge to seal the edges to the bottom. Then to top coat, I'm just going in with a top coat of that same Mod Podge multi, and that's gonna make that weather friendly. I'm also gluing down that top part there to the lip, and then I'm just gonna add a little circle to the bottom, and that'll just finish off the bottom in case you are hanging this from a tree branch. Now you can trim off the top once that's dry, and then we'll go in and use that same formula to attach some gems. Now the gems, that's just if you want to add them, but it adds a fun little sparkle with the lights. And here's the other napkin that I did. I love these for 4th of July. I'm using some fake cork lights. You can use candles in these because the lid has an open end, or you could use battery tea lights. And look how cute these look when they're all turned on. So adorable for the 4th. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I'll be back here next week with another fun project to share with you. And until then, have a super crafty week. Bye.